Truong disappeared after a sudden attack, and no one knows where he is. A mysterious stranger secretly rescued him and brought him to an abandoned house where he must stay hidden, waiting for the right moment to return. Meanwhile, Tieu Nu takes care of Dewey every day, picking and selling melons to make a living. But her heart never stops longing for Truong. She quietly puts up missing posters, praying for a miracle, hoping Truong will see them and come back to her. Will Truong find his way back to Tieu Nu soon? Or will the secrets and dangers ahead keep them apart? This journey is filled with suspense, emotion, and hope, a story you won't be able to look away from. Don't miss this touching and dramatic story. Hit like and subscribe to follow every step of Tieu Nu and Truong's search for each other. After escaping from his pursuers, Truong was taken by a mysterious figure to an abandoned house deep in the forest on the outskirts of town. The place was so quiet that not even the sounds from the outside world could reach it, only the rustle of wind through the leaves and the faint creak of loose bricks. Truong was cared for carefully. His wounds were bandaged, but the pain still lingered. Every movement sent a sharp sting through his body, and exhaustion weighed heavily on him. Lying on a makeshift bed, he closed his eyes, his mind tense, but his heart still reaching for Tieu Nu, for Dewey, and for the home he had once dreamed of building for her. The person who saved Truong remained a mystery, always appearing just in time to shield him from danger and keep his whereabouts hidden from prying eyes. They tended to him, quietly bringing food, changing his bandages, and ensuring no one discovered him. Their presence didn't just save Truong's life, it added a layer of mystery and tension to everything that followed. Truong knew he couldn't contact Tieu Nu yet, and that thought gnawed at him. But he also knew that for now, his safety and the plan to return mattered most. Meanwhile, Tieu Nu continued to care for Dewey while living in constant longing for Truong. Every day, she went out to pick melons, her footsteps carrying both fear and hope. Each melon she cut, each basket she arranged for the market, was part of her effort to keep life going and take care of Dewey. But in her heart, Truong's image was always there, turning every action into an emotional struggle. The busy sounds of the market people calling out, laughing, chatting, felt like background noise compared to her single focus. Finding any clue that could lead her to Truong, she kept searching, watching, and hoping that anyone might have seen him or heard something. But so far, not a single lead had surfaced. Her mix of anxiety and hope flowed endlessly, wearing her down, yet fueling her determination. Deep down, she still believed that Truong was safe, that a miracle would happen, that one day he would come back to her and Dewey to fulfill their promise of a wedding and the happy life they had dreamed of. Back in the abandoned house, Truong couldn't stop thinking about Tieu Nu. He worried about her, about Dewey, about the struggles she must be facing without him. Those thoughts strengthened his resolve to heal, to survive, and to make it back safely. Every bird song, every gust of wind slipping through the cracks in the door reminded him that life was still moving on outside, and somewhere out there, Tieu Nu was waiting. Days passed. Truong slowly regained his strength, but he had to stay cautious. Leaving too soon could expose him to danger if his enemies were still nearby. The tension and uncertainty hung heavy in the air, keeping both Truong and the audience on edge. knowing that anything could happen at any moment. He understood that one wrong move could destroy everything, but even then, his heart kept pulling him toward Tieu Nu, reminding him that hope was still alive. And though Tieu Nu had no idea where Truong was, she kept going, picking melons, selling them, taking care of Dewey, all while her heart and mind remained fixed on him. The simplest moments in her day felt charged with emotion, every step filled with hope. Even without seeing him, she believed that someday, somehow, he would return. And when that day came, all the pain, the waiting, and the fear would finally be replaced by happiness. Tieu Nu kept herself busy with her daily routines. Everything seemed the same as always, except that in every little movement, there was a quiet sense of longing no one else could see. Each morning, when sunlight slipped through the window and touched the floor, she would pause for a moment, looking off into the distance. In that light, she could almost see Truong, the man who had gone away taking her heart with him. Sometimes she thought she heard his laughter, his voice calling her name beneath the open sky. But when she realized it was only the wind, her chest tightened with quiet ache. The days passed in a steady rhythm, but for Tieu Nu, time had stopped the moment Truong left. Every sound, every simple task reminded her of him. When the rain poured down on the tin roof, her heart would tremble as if he were right there beside her. On hot afternoons when the whole village fell silent under the heavy sun, she would sit by the window, staring out at the red dirt road leading to the distant fields. That was where Truong used to stand, waving goodbye as she went to the market, his smile shining bright in the sunlight. The road was still there, only now the person she longed for was gone, leaving behind an empty space in her heart. Her longing for Truong couldn't be measured anymore. It flowed through her, every breath, every heartbeat. Sometimes she caught herself smiling, imagining him sitting across from her, eating and talking about the day's work in the fields. She knew it was only in her mind, but those small illusions helped her keep going, because in her heart, Truong had never truly disappeared. She remembered the afternoons by the river, when Truong would toss little stones into the water, while she watched his reflection shimmer on the surface. He once told her, "Whenever you see the water glimmer like this, remember that I'm still looking at you." Those words had become a promise carved deep into her soul. There were moments when missing him made it hard to breathe. But then she'd see Dewey, the little boy who called her name every morning, who needed her strength, her care. Tieu Nu would swallow her tears, remembering Truong's words. "If I can't make it back, you have to live for both of us." So she lived. She lived to keep that promise. She lived to honor his love. Every day she worked, smiled, and tried to keep sadness from taking over her world. But behind her gentle eyes, the longing still burned, not enough to destroy her, but never fading either. Sometimes she wrote letters to him, even though she knew she could never send them. In those letters, she talked about peaceful days, about the rice fields turning golden, about how Dewey had grown and started helping around the house. She even wrote about her dreams, where Truong came back, took her hand, smiled, and said, "I'm home." She kept those letters in a small wooden box, as if keeping a piece of her heart locked safely inside. And when the rain stopped, when the moonlight shone again through the leaves, Tieu Nu felt her heart grow lighter, because deep down, she knew Truong had never really left. He lived in every breath she took, every ray of sunlight, every unfinished promise she still held on to. She believed that no matter how far apart they were, love would always connect them. And one day, even if only in a dream, he would take her hand again, and together they would finish the dream. They started a small home, a green garden, and an afternoon filled with laughter just like before. After a long, tiring day, Tieu Nu walked back to the unfinished house that Truong had once poured his heart into building for her. The half-constructed walls and unframed windows stood clearly under the fading light of dusk. The house wasn't just a shelter. It was a symbol of their love and the dreams they had once shared. When she saw the old carpenter, still working, sweat glistening on his forehead, Tieu Nu smiled and handed him a fresh melon, a small gift of gratitude for all his effort. He nodded and went back to work, leaving her standing alone in the quiet, surrounded by the faint sound of tools and the soft glow of the setting sun. She stopped for a moment, her eyes drifting far away as memories of Truong came rushing back. The times they planned together, laughed together, discussed every little detail of the house. Each unfinished corner, each brick left halfway, seemed to whisper his name and remind her of the love they had built. Her heart ached, but the pain didn't break her. Instead, it gave her strength, a quiet determination that kept her standing tall. She took a deep breath and looked at the half-built house, her eyes shining with resolve. Even though Truong was far away and no one knew when a miracle might happen, she knew one thing for sure: nothing could shake her faith. This house, Dui, and her love for Truong were the reasons she kept moving forward, holding on to hope, waiting for the day when happiness would finally return.
Yêu và sự kiên định của họ sẽ không bao giờ